You know, that's a very
That's what I
beautiful
feel.
beautiful state of very poor.
Some
And
of
they
those
don't have
guys,
the money or infrastructure
Or not.
to do something like
Or not.
quarantine.
some of them are
Yeah,
not.
most of the time that's why I feel sorry for the people who are there working.
They-
Yeah.
Wearing
they
them
quarantine
and then
people at
all
Canaan
this testing
Plain.
coming without them.
And,
And I feel sorry for them. Most of the time the places
wondered
I've been,
about that,
employees
if
have
that
had
did.
masks on.
And how does the hotel going to?
Yes,
I think you're right,
They
lots too, just to get some
weren't gonna do that.
containers, you know.
They do expect to wear
There
masks
was
though,
an
they.
employee there that
Huh.
wasn't wearing a mask.
Okay, so we're here. Third block, if you want one, I said that, promised to use it. It is Tuesday, the 30th of March, getting to the end of March. So have a block to handy by while you're sitting here to get warmed up. See if we can play with it a little bit, but take your time, start to get comfortable, and you know, crossing your legs, remember, if you have any kind of discomfort, you need to use blocks underneath your legs, or if you need to stretch your legs out, you know, just be mindful and allow yourself just to get really easy in your hips. Close your eyes. For a second, turn your palms up. Let the backs of your hands rest wherever feels good on your legs. And let yourself lengthen up. Feel your shoulders melting down now, away from your ears. Actually, for a second, cross your arms in front of you and just let your hands hook over the top of your shoulders. So rest your hands there for a second and let your elbows melt down. So feel, as you're lengthening up though, try not to round forward in the upper back. Lengthen up, but just feel your hands there and imagine just letting yourself really soften there where your hands are at the tops of your shoulders. And then just gently release your arms back down. And again, let your palms face up if you can. Let the backs of your hands rest wherever feels good for you. And come into the nice, easy breaths in and out through your nose. So feeling the breath coming in and going out. And then letting your hands come on out beside you here now. Let's inhale both arms all the way out and up overhead. And on our exhale, let our hands come down together in front of our hearts. Go ahead and bring your chin down towards your chest. Release your head forward for a second. And then roll your left ear towards your left shoulder. Send your hands a little to the right so you come into the side of the neck there a little bit. And then come back into center with the hands and the chin. And then we'll go the other way. Right ear towards the right shoulder. Let yourself release there. And then come on back into center, hands and chin down. And then unfold your arms on down beside you here now. Let's reach over and get that block. All right? So let yourself bring the block like the long way in front of you so that you're holding it just so you're feeling your palms in towards the block. And have the block just out from your chest if you can. You can go lower if you need to or higher a little bit. It's up to you. But bend your elbows just a little bit and press your hands just gently into the block. And then start to hug the elbows inward a little bit towards the center and then see if you can come into a little bit straighter arms. Press into the block still. So now you're activated, definitely, up through the arms into your shoulders. And see if you can start to rise the block higher. Now be real mindful, everybody's shoulders are different, and this is a lot more intense than it seems. So come up as high as you can. Once you get as high as you can go, bend your elbows. See if you can just put the block right at the back of sort of the top of your head a little bit. And then rise your chin up just a little. Press into the block. Don't go extreme, but just let the elbows rise up. Let your gaze rise up a little bit. Keep pressing your head gently into the block. Engage the belly. Good, and then come back upright. Start to let the arms lengthen back up and come on forward now, again, slowly down, all the way to the floor with the block. And as you do, come forward so that maybe you just want to put your hands on the block for this forward bend. Some of you may want to go further. You may want to come down to your forearms on the block. So just be mindful. Take it easy. If you want to go all the way down to head on the block, you can go all the way forward. You know, everybody's back and hips are different. So be where you can. Try to let yourself release the head if possible to hang so you're not tensing up, or bring the back of your head in line with your spine is fine. Good. So one more nice breath here. And we're going to come on back up. Let your hands come on out beside you onto the floor here. Inhale. And on the exhale, we're going to twist to our left. Bring yourself around into an easy twist. Lengthening up here. Feel the right sit bone in particular drawing down so you don't let that right hip come around with you. One more inhale. And on the exhale, we're going to come all the way back around through center and go all the way into the other direction. So lengthening up. Feel the sitting bones drawing down. Feel a little engagement here in your low belly. One more inhale. And as you exhale, come on back around into center. And now, let's make one circle with our torso. It doesn't matter which direction you go. Let yourself come around with a circle here with your torso. Once you get back to the front, stop and reverse direction. And do 2 or 3 more of those where you do one circle and then you just stop and reverse. Letting your exhales bring you forward and your inhales bring you back. Good. And then the next time you end up forward, stay there for a breath. And we're going to rise all the way on back up. And we're going to stretch our legs out. Remember which leg you have in front. Stretch your legs on out in front of you for a second and move through your feet. Let your feet circle around. You can do whatever feels good. Windshield wiper blades, little leg bounces. Just kind of let your legs wake up a little bit there. And then we're going to cross again, letting ourselves come to the other leg in front. And then bring your block out in front of you again. Start to rise the block on forward again of your chest. Bend your elbows a little bit. Hug them in. And then see if you can lengthen your arms a little bit. Now again, how high up you come. If your shoulders bother you, you may want to stop right there, right? If it's impossible to bend your elbows and put the block behind your head, you can kind of put it just a little to the top and look up a little bit maybe. Elbows can be out more, right? So everybody's shoulders are different. Feel your head if you can, pressing into the block. Good. And then come on back upright. See if you can release your arms back up overhead. Bringing the block on forward again and all the way down to the floor. And we're going to come on forward again into that forward bend. So take your time. Hands can stay on the block. You can keep that long back. Or you may want to fold. And again, you can put forearms or head on the block. Remember, blocks have all those heights. You know, you can turn the block to a very different height if you want to. Good. One more breath here. And then as you come up, make your way on back all the way upright, bringing your hands on out beside you. Inhaling here. And as we exhale, let's twist to the right first. Bring your left hand on around, maybe to your right knee. That depends on you. Lengthen up through the top of your head. And one more inhale. And on the exhale, we'll twist back around to the other side. So again, letting yourself be comfortable where you bring your hands. Lengthen up. Feel your shoulders softening down. One more inhale. And let your exhale draw you back around into center. Now remember these circle things. We're going to do a circle of the torso, one circle in one direction, And then remember, when you come forward again, just stop and reverse. And go ahead and let yourself easily come through as many of these as you can do here. Feel really easy. Enjoy letting your breath move you here. Good. And then the next time that you come forward, stay there for a breath. And then we're going to slowly rise on back up. And let's stretch our legs out in front of us here. So let yourself release your legs back out in front of you. Bring your hands behind you for a second. You can be on fingertips, or you can just release back onto your hands flat if you want. But flex the feet, feel your heels on the ground, draw your heels back towards you a little bit. Your legs are very engaged here now. And then we'll sit on up into staff pose, hands beside us here. Good. And from here, we're going to release our right arm all the way out and up overhead. And we're going to come over into side stretch. So left hand is giving you support there. Bend your elbow as deeply as you choose. Letting yourself find that release through the right side. Good. And then we'll come on back up, and we're going to bring the right hand down. Let the left arm come up. And again, you can bend that right elbow. Let yourself come farther. You can stay up higher if you want. Feel that left sitting bone drawing down. Open up through the left side of the body. Nice. And then we'll come on all the way back up again. And sit in your staff for a breath here. Lengthened up. And we're going to come on around towards our hands and knees. And you know, if you do not want to be on your knees, don't be. Grab a blanket if you need to. Whatever works to let you be easy here in your cat-cow. So take your time. Come to fist if you need to. Get your knees underneath you, your hands under your shoulders, knees under your hips. And as you start to flow through the back, take your own time. Move at your own tempo here so that you're moving with your own breath. Feel that tailbone initiate. Let yourself move on up from there. Good. And then finish the one you're on. Come on back to more neutral spine. And let's send our right foot behind us on the floor. Curl your toes under. Keep the toes on the floor. Look straight down there between your hands. Maybe a little bit forward, actually. And then just float that right leg up, if you can, about parallel to the floor. And if you can reach your left arm forward too. Coming into a little balance there. Now see it from here. You can move your leg a little to the right, your arm a little to the left. So they come away from the midline a little bit outward, and then they come back. So again, let the leg come out to the side, the arm a tiny bit, and then bring everything back. And then we're going to lower the hand and the knee back down to the ground. And we're going to send the left foot on the floor behind us. Curl the toes under. Press in your hands equally. Open up the back of that left leg. And then float the leg up again if you can, parallel to the floor. Pinky toe faces down. Right arm stretches forward if you can. And then see again, if you could just move your left leg to the left a little, the right arm comes a little to the right. And then they come back in to right above your shoulder and back behind your hip. And then do it again. Bring them out a little bit. Really using that core, and then bring them back in. And then lower the hand, the knee down. Let's shift back towards pose of a child. Let yourself release there. If you can let yourself be forward on your forearms, because that's better for your knees, do that. So come to where you can release and breathe into your low back. Good. And then we'll bring the arms out long overhead. And on our next inhale, we'll come up to all fours again. Let's curl our toes under and reach up and back into a downward facing dog pose. So walk a little bit. If you want to pick a foot up one at a time and circle a little bit, or if you want to move through your feet, coming to the tops of your toes and walking in a stretch that way, just be mindful. Let your body kind of do what it needs. Shift around. Let yourself feel really good in your dog. Good. And then from here, let's bring our knees on back down to the mat. We're going to step our left foot forward and find lunge, so you know if you'd like your blocks under your hands, use them. Coming on up into that lunge. Take your time, draw your shoulders down. And feel the feet pressing gently away from each other here. And now straighten your left leg out just a little bit. Let the right heel descend just directly back behind your foot. You can always look at it. Lengthen the torso out. See if you can now lift just your left toes up. Feel the four corners of your foot into the floor there. Make sure you're not rolling. And then let your toes come back down. We're going to bend the left knee, come back into lunge. And we're going to switch legs. So bringing the right foot forward. So finding that lunge, whatever height you like your hands to be. Remember, if you're putting too much tension in your fingers or your hands, you can always switch to fists or flat hands or fingertips. And we'll straighten that right knee out here. And again, let the left heel descend directly back towards the floor. Look at your right foot, lift the toes up, and just feel that sense of being very even between the base of the big toe mound and the base of the little toe mound. And then release the toes on back down to the floor. We're going to bend that right knee, come on back into lunge, and we'll step forward from here and come on into our standing forward bend. Feet hips distance apart and parallel. Release your head, maybe let your head nod or shake a little bit. Really enjoy. Use whatever support you need, you know that. Elbows can be above your knees, hands can be on your blocks. Just be mindful. Start to be with your own breath. See if on your exhales you can just imagine the face getting softer and softer every time you exhale. And we'll let our hands now rise up to our hips. We're going to bend our knees and rise on up to standing and inhale the arms all the way out and up. And on our exhale, let our hands come down together in front of our hearts. So finding your mountain pose, do what you need to do. If you need to shift around a little bit, let yourself adjust whatever needs adjusting really. And bring your hands then back together in front of your chest. Feel your hands gently touching here. Spread your fingers a little bit so it feels really good to feel the hands in contact there. And then feel your feet in the floor. And without looking at your feet, see if you can rise all your toes up. And again, think of those four corners of the feet. Arches lifting up, four corners of the feet reaching down. And then softly let the toes relax right back down to the floor. And as we unfold our arms now, right down beside us, let's bring our hands behind us. Interlace your fingers, clasp your hands. Bend your elbows quite a bit. Squeeze your palms towards each other for a second. And you're really squeezing your hands. So even imagine like squeezing the fingers towards each other as they're interlaced. And squeezing the palms, feeling your biceps. And one more breath here. And then let the palms come apart. Let the hands slide down lower. Take a nice inhale, and on the exhale, bend your knees and come on forward. Now, you know you can stay parallel to the floor. You don't have to fold forward, or you can fold over your legs. If releasing your arms off of your back feels good, you can do that. If your shoulders feel good to do that. Take your time. Full breaths here, in and out. And then we'll let our arms release back down, hands on down towards the floor. Let your next inhale lengthen your spine. And we'll exhale the right foot back into lunge here. And inhale, exhale into our downward facing dog pose. Spread those fingers, elbows hug inward, shoulders away from the ears, but you don't want to like pull them really far away. There's this happy kind of middle place where your shoulders feel the best. And on your next inhale, come on out to that plank. Now see if you can just bend a knee at a time and plank. but let your pelvis stay really secure there so you're not dropping when you bend one knee. Keep the belly working. Let yourself walk through a couple more times. And also it feels good in the feet, right? You're feeling your feet, the bottoms of your feet getting stretched. Your toe joints there. Finish off. We're going to lower down to the mat from here. Knees first if you need. Elbows right by the ribs. And let's come on into a Sphinx with our elbows under our shoulders. Spread your fingers nice and wide here. Look there between your hands. And take your time. Just enjoy. Feel the belly engaging. See if you can enjoy opening up through the front of the body. One more breath. And then lower back down. Slide your hands back by your upper chest. Hug your elbows in towards each other. And as you inhale, rise your head. Maybe your chest up a little bit. Now coming up higher is totally up to you. You can push into your hands and come into straighter arms, elbows hugging in. Remember, you don't want to lock your elbows if you're coming up into cobra here. And then we'll release back down wherever we were. We're going to make our way back to down dog. So whether you come through a half or a full push-up, reach your way equally back to your sitting bones. And see if you can imagine you're trying to widen your mat with your feet. So you're pressing your feet gently away from each other, hugging your elbows towards each other. So the feet are pressing out, the elbows are hugging in. And we'll bring the right foot forward from here to come into lunge. And then we'll come on back into standing forward bend. Easy, deep breaths. So you know, again, if you need support, use it. If you'd like to release your hands to your elbows and that feels just so good in your back, then go for it, right? Real nice, full, even breaths. Let your jaw relax. And then we'll let ourselves come on up to standing. Let your arms be like wings. Press into your feet. Rise up. Inhale the arms out beside you and up overhead. And on the exhale, bring your hands down together in front of your heart. Let's reverse the arms. Inhale the hands right up through the midline. On the exhale, open the arms like wings as you come on forward. Let your next inhale help you find that flat back. And we'll step the left foot back to come into lunge. And inhale. Exhale into your downward dog. Good. Let's let our next inhale bring us to that plank. Really find your plank here. Now, if you had to move your feet, get in your plank really comfortably. And now come on back into down dog without moving your feet. Feel your elbows hugging towards each other. And then again, next inhale is going to bring us out to plank. And we're going to lower down. So again, if you want to put your knees down first, do. Elbows right by the ribs. And we'll come into either little cobra, lifting up, or all the way up if you choose. Again, take your time where you feel good to be here. And then we'll release to come on back down. We're going to make our way back into down dog from here. This time, left foot will come forward to find that lunge. And then we'll come all the way back into standing forward bend. Right to your breath. Follow your breath in and out. If you want to move your hands to a different place, you like to put your hands under your feet, or sometimes resting the hands clasped at the back of the head feels good. If you like a little more feeling kind of traction in your spine. Or hands up behind you. Good. We're going to release our hands now back up to our hips. Bend our knees and rise on up. We'll inhale the arms out and up overhead. On the exhale, we're going to come down with the hands, come in a chair pose. Sit back a little bit here. Let your torso come forward. You can look down, make sure your knees are coming out over the center of your feet. Take your time here. And see about twisting to your right. Now you can put your left elbow on that right knee if you want, but you don't have to. You You can let yourself just stay up high and twist. And then come on back into center. And we're going to go the other way. So if you feel good to put your elbow on your knee, you can push that left hand into the right. Let yourself lengthen out. You're still trying to stay even. Knees are equally bent. And let your hips feel even. And then come on back into center. Rest your elbows above your knees for a second. Let the hands just stay together there if you can. Reach back through your tailbone, back through your sitting bones. One more inhale. And on the exhale, go ahead and fold forward over your legs. Let your next inhale lengthen your spine. Exhale, right foot back into lunge as we move with the breath. Inhale. Exhale into down dog. Let your next inhale carry you to plank. And exhale, lowering down. And on your inhale, coming into your cobra. Exhaling back to down dog. Inhale. Exhale, right foot forward to lunge. And inhale. Exhale to your standing forward bend. Bend the knees rising all the way up to the top. And on the exhale, we're going to come forward. Let your inhale lengthen your spine. Exhale, left foot back to lunge. And inhale. Exhale into your down dog. Let your inhale bring you to plank. Your exhale will lower you down. And inhale into your cobra. Exhale back to down dog. Inhale. Exhale, left foot forward to lunge. And inhale. Exhale to your standing forward bend. Bend the knees, rising all the way to the top. And on the exhale, we're going to come forward again. Inhale, find that long back. And we're going to walk to down dog or jump, however you want to get there. So come into down dog. Wag your tail a little bit. Let your head turn a little bit side to side. In other words, let your dog kind of loosen up, right? So oftentimes we just feel like we just go into a pose and freeze our way there, right? Just move a little bit and let it feel like your body's kind of taking over to do what it needs. And then finish off back into your full dog. And we're going to bring our left foot forward. We're coming up for warrior two. Have your blocks handy there in case you want them. And then from here, start to adjust now into your warrior two, bringing that bend into that front knee. And for a second, bring your left thumb right to the top of your hip hinge, right where your leg meets, right, the torso. Wrap your hand around the outside of the leg and kind of press down with your thumb and around and down with your fingers. So you're encouraging that outer left hip to drop down. And you can check your knee out. It may enable you to want to bend your knee a little deeper, so that's up to you. And then we're just going to release our hands on down and inhale the arms up and out into our warrior two arms. Bringing our gaze right out over the top of that left hand, reaching out through the fingertips. And feel your feet equal in the floor. Good. And now let's turn our left palm up. Fold your right arm behind you here and inhale. Reach up towards the sky here. Just breathe into the left side of the body. Good. One more inhale. And on your next exhale, come on into your side angle. So keep your right hand behind you for a second. You might even feel like you want to release it more to the top of the right hip or the left hip, or even wrap it further around towards the top of that left leg, thigh if you want. Just feel good. Look down at the floor for a second. Let your neck release. And then bring that right arm on down. Let it swing back and forth a couple of times so you feel the weight of the arm as it comes forward and back. And then bring that right arm up by your ear. What we're going to do is press into the left forearm and open the right side into our side angle pose from there. So turning the right pinky down towards the floor, feeling that sense of the shoulder away from your ear, finding that length. Beautiful. One more breath. Good. Now from here, turn to look back at the floor. Bring your left hand down, maybe to a block, maybe to your leg for triangle, because we're going to look down at the left knee as we straighten it out for triangle pose, letting the right arm just come straight on up from the shoulder as you do. And then you can keep looking down. You can look out from the mat there. You can try to look up if you want. Feel those thighs lifting up towards the hips. Good. breath. Lengthen all the way out through the top of your head. Feel your thighs lifting up towards your hips. Beautiful. Turn to look back at your left foot again. We're going to come on down into a lunge. So releasing your way to a lunge. From the lunge, we're going to walk around into a wide-legged forward bend. So take your time. Come on around. Adjust your feet. Obviously, you can maybe get more or less wide. You can use your blocks. You know that. And then bend one knee at a time. And take your time to do that. Let it feel really good. Coming into those inner thighs. Good. And then come back to being even between your legs there and turn your toes out and do that same bending one knee at a time. And I know some of you really like to go deep in this stretch. So if you do, you can bend your right knee, lift your left foot off the floor, maybe even shift your hips down towards the mat, but that's up to you. So just ease your way. You don't have to go deep. You can stay up. You don't have to bring yourself down at all with the hips. And then finish off back into center so that you can turn your toes back forward again. And now this one's up to you. If you need to keep your back long, remember you can stack blocks up and have your forearms on blocks so that you're out of your hands. Or maybe it feels better to you to release, folding forward, bringing yourself into hands between the feet, or even holding your ankles if that feels better, or walking your hands back behind you. So just let the body adjust. So all you need to do is be in the pose and watch your breath. So let your focus now be on those inhales and exhales. Good. One more breath. And we are going to walk our hands back out forward, and we're going to walk back to the left foot to come back into lunge. So take your time, find your lunge here, and then we'll make our way back into downward facing dog pose. Good. Walk through to the tops of the feet a couple of times. Warriors really kind of make you want to do that, don't they? And then we'll come on out to plank. So take your time. And you can decide if you want to do a back bend or not, either coming through chaturanga and down to the floor into up dog or cobra, or moving from your plank right through. And you're more than welcome to move through a couple more vinyasas or kriyas. You're welcome to put your knees down. Let your body kind of adjust to do what it needs here. Good. Finish off whatever you're doing so we can meet back in down dog. Hug your elbows towards each other, press your feet away from each other, and we'll bring the right foot forward from here. We're coming up for that warrior two. So again, you know, if you like your blocks, have them handy there. And again, once you get up, let your thumb come right there to the hip hinge. Wrap your fingers around the outside of your upper thigh there and just press down with your thumb. Bend your right knee as you do, and you feel how that outer right hip just naturally drops down. And so again, you may decide, I want to bend my knee deeper. I want to get my thigh closer to parallel to the floor, which is really immaterial, right? But if it feels good, do it. And then release your arms on up and out into your warrior two. Reaching out through the fingertips. Let your shoulders soften down. Feel that sense of reaching equally out through both sets of fingertips. And now feel your feet in the floor. Imagine you're trying to lengthen your mat with your feet. Good. One more breath. And we'll fold the left arm behind us, turn the right palm up, and inhale, and really let yourself now reach up, and then maybe a little back, but breathe into the right ribs. One more inhale. And on the exhale, we're going to come into side angle. Keep your left hand behind you if you can. Your right hand or forearm can go onto your thigh. Let yourself just enjoy. You can turn to look forward a little bit here if that feels good. Feel how your shoulder feels, how far you want that left hand to go, you know, towards the right or the midline, whatever feels good. And then go ahead and turn to look back down at your right foot. Release your left arm to swing a little bit. Feel the weight of the arm. Kind of move it around a little. And then let the arm come up by your ear. Pinky's turned down, thumb is up. Now to open, press really strongly into that right forearm or hand. Let yourself open up into your side angle here. So drawing that right outer hip back, down and back a little bit. Imagine your thumb is still there. Let yourself extend through both sides of the body and your spine here. Beautiful. One more breath. And now turn to look down again and bring your right hand down. Remember, we're going to go in a triangle. So give yourself support however you want. Straighten the right knee out. Watch as it straightens. And let the left arm come straight up from your shoulder. And now again, you can turn to look out to the long edge of your mat. You may even want to turn to look up towards that left hand. Just be mindful. Let it feel good. Beautiful. One more breath here. Actually, stay for another couple of breaths. Feel your thighs lifting up towards your hips. And then we're going to bend that right knee, and we're going to come back into lunge. So release yourself all the way down into lunge here. Take your time to walk around for that wide-legged forward bend. So once you start walking and adjust your feet, keep walking over to the left. Let yourself go as far as you want to go, and then once you get as far as you want to go, stay there. See if you can let your head hang a little bit. Let yourself release your neck, your jaw. And then come on back through center and go to the other side. Again, you may decide to just shift your blocks and stay there on your blocks, but maybe you can still let your head hang. Stay and release. Feel the backs of the legs. Feel the inner left thigh. Good. And then come on back, hands to center, and walk your hands out like you're doing a down dog, but let your hands be a little wider apart than you are in your normal dog, right? Hug your elbows in towards each other, and then let your heart melt down, even kind of back a little bit. So it's a little bit of a back bend here. Feel those elbows hugging in. Good, and then you can bring yourself into wherever you're comfortable to be in your wide-legged forward bend with your breath. Adjust your arms. And now focusing in and out on your breath, but also feeling the ribs move when you breathe in and out. Good. One more breath. And we're going to walk our hands back forward so we can walk back to our right foot and come on back into lunge and make our way back into down dog. So again, be on your own here. You want to move a little bit more, you can come through vinyasas or kriyas. You want to move a little less, put your knees down and rest in pose of a child if you need to. So take your time. Good. Finish off back in down dog. Good. Once you're in your dog, let your feet come a little closer together. Bring your left leg up in the air behind you into a three-legged dog. Really enjoy that. And then bend your left knee and open the hip. You can turn to look under your left arm if you want. Imagine somebody's drawing your knee up in a diagonal line behind you there. And then turn back, long leg, toes face down again, squaring your hips. And from here, we're going to bring the left foot forward. Find your lunge. Bring your blocks under your hands, actually. Doesn't matter what height. And then we're going to straighten that left knee out and come into pyramid pose. Rotating that right heel in towards the midline. Feel your thighs engaging upward. Even if you don't normally use blocks, just see if you can let the blocks help you for a second. Really extend into a long spine here. decide, right? You can bring your hands down, you can fold over that front leg if you choose to. You know, some of you may want to put your hands on the floor, turn your fingertips backward towards the foot of your mat. That just makes your shoulders feel a little bit different in the pose, or not. You can do all kinds of things, right? Keep that right heel down on the floor so you're getting the most out of your pose here. Good. And now bring your hands back forward, whether you're on the blocks or the floor, lengthen back into your spine again. We're going to bring our left hand to our left hip and roll that left shoulder up, coming into revolve triangle here. Now when you do that, try not to roll to the outside of that left foot. Feel the four corners of the feet on the floor. I know the back foot, lifting that arch up is even harder. You can stretch your left arm up if you choose, or not. Keep the hand down. One more breath. And then bring your left hand on back down, coming back to pyramid for a breath. And now, we're going to bend the left knee. Find lunge for a second. Bring your blocks highest height forward of you here. And then we're going to launch on up into warrior three, turning the right toes down towards the floor, getting your hands underneath your shoulders here. Bend both your knees. Bring your right knee in beside your left one. And then the next inhale, stretch everything long as you come back into that warrior three. And then do that again. Bend your knees, let yourself round into your back a little bit. And then when you inhale, lengthen back into warrior three, looking straight down. One more time. Letting yourself exhale when you bring the knee in. And then inhale, stretch it out. If you can reach your left arm forward, do. Remember, toes are facing down. Take your time. Good. And then we'll bring the hand back down. We're going to step back into lunge from here. So take your time, find your lunge again, and then we'll make our way back into downward facing dog pose. Good. And again, if you want to come through for a plank and move through for some vinyasas or kriyas, that is totally up to you. You know, whether you bend your elbows or not. Coming into chaturanga, moving down and then up is up to you. Let's meet back in down dog though. So finish off back in down dog. We're going to bring the right foot up into that three-legged dog. Let the left heel descend down. Press equally back out of your hands. Now bend your right knee. Open the hip. Look underneath your right arm a little bit if you can. Good. And then turn the toes back down. We're going to step forward with that right foot. Get your blocks so that you can come into pyramid pose. So take your time. Get yourself lengthened out. Get the length of stance where you feel really good to be. And feel the thighs engaging up towards the hips. Think of at the same time sending your tailbone back and then zipping up your belly a little bit. But don't let that compromise the tailbone reaching back. So when the tailbone reaches back and you zip up your belly, don't make that curl your tailbone down again. So it's really deep work there, right? You can fold over the leg if you like. If that feels like a big relief, go for it. And then come back to that long spine again. Thighs are lifting up, and you can bring that right hand on up to the right hip. Roll that shoulder up, keeping the hand, if you choose, down on your sacrum, or stretch your arm up if you want. Again, make sure you're not rolling on that right foot. Good. One more breath. And then let your hand come back down. Find your pyramid pose again for a breath. And now, let your blocks come forward. Bend that front knee. Come into your lunge there briefly. Because remember, we're going to send the blocks forward and then launch our way on up. Float that left leg on up. Toes face down. Get yourself squared off. Get your hands into place where you're okay. And then, let yourself, as you exhale, bend both your knees. Bring your left knee in by the right. And when you inhale, come back again into that warrior three. And then again, exhale, bringing your knee in, rounding up into your back a little bit. And then inhale, reach back again. And one more time, exhaling. And on the inhale, reach on back again into warrior three. See if you can bring your right arm forward. Engage your belly. Really feel the strength and power of your warrior three here. Good. And then bring your hand on back down. We're going to step back now into lunge. So adjust your stance back into your lunge. And then come on back into down dog. Final vinyasas or kriyas. If you choose to do any, you don't have to. You can put your knees down and come into child's pose. Good. And let's meet back in down dog. Bend both your knees. Let yourself imagine your belly coming right to your thighs. Elbows hug in. And you can decide, looking up between your hands, if you want to jump or walk your way up there. So you come forward however you want to get there. Get your feet underneath you. Come into your Uttanasana, whether you like to hold your elbows or use support or put your hands somewhere else. And just release through your face now. Probably a little bit of a efforting feeling going on with some of that. So if you find that you've kind of tightened up in your jaw again or your face, just let go. And then we'll bring our hands up to our hips. We're going to rise up to standing and inhale our arms all the way out and up. And on our exhale, let our hands come down together in front of our hearts. Enjoy your mountain pose here. Feel your breath coming in, going out. Feel that sense of the body really wanting to stack itself up, hips over ankles, shoulders over hips. And just enjoy feeling the space around you. And then we'll go ahead and let our arms come on down. Shake it out a little bit. Walk around if you need to. We're going to bring our mats into a wall. So let's bring them all the way in. And if you know that 3-block dolphin is your favorite, you can bring your 3 blocks to the wall. I'll just review the lineup of it if anybody there at home forgets. So if you do use 3 blocks, you can let your bottom block be the highest height, and your other 2 blocks come in the lowest height, turn the other way. So, you know, some people who are really narrow shoulders would rather use just 1 block on top and turn it the other way. But the bottom block is in a little closer to the wall so that there's space between that bottom block and the wall, but also space between the bottom block and the other 2. So if you're not using blocks, you can just turn to face the wall and let yourself come onto your forearms. And you can lift up without any blocks behind you very easily into your dolphin pose. So pressing into your forearms, elbows hugging towards each other. And just enjoy. And if you're in the blocks, if you've got the blocks back there, you can feel that space between the shoulder blades, just wanting to relax from that pressure into the blocks. You can also feel your head pressing gently into that bottom block. And sometimes you might even want to lift a leg up once you're up there. You can play with a leg coming up. You can play with bringing both legs up. You don't have to do this at all. You can stay right here. It's sort of like a massage between the shoulder blades if you have your blocks there. And you can rest if you want. So take your time. You come down, rest when you want. You stay up as long as you choose. Good. Be with your breath. Remember, think about letting your head hang, letting yourself feel that release between the shoulder blades as you gently hug your elbows. And you know, you can come down and rest and go back up again. If that feels really good to you, you can rest for a little bit. And then maybe you want to try again. Or maybe, you know, If any of you want to take the blocks away, work on your forearm stand without support. If you want to come on up into both feet up the wall. Once you come down for good, come into child's pose if you can. Don't force it, but if you can, come into pose of a child. And then we'll come up enough to thread the needle with our right arm. So letting your right arm come through, and you can either make a pillow, put your head on your left hand there if that feels really good. You can stay. You don't have to be all the way back. You can be up with your hips off your heels if that feels better to you, right? Or you can reach your left arm overhead. Just let the low back release. Let yourself breathe. Nice, easy breath. Good. And then let your left hand come by your face so you can press your way up. And we're just going to switch and thread the needle with the other hand. You know, your left palm, that one that's going through, can be facing up or down. It really depends on how that feels to you in your arm and your shoulder. Whether you put the right hand under your head or you bring the arm out overhead. Or just leave the elbows soft. Just really allow yourself to breathe into your low back. Feel your shoulders release. And then we'll bring the right hand back. We're going to press our way on up. And now reach your arms overhead and see if you can come forward. But have your hands farther forward than when you're on your hands and knees. And then from there, see about coming on forward with your chest in towards a little cobra. Elbows hugging in. Now, if it's too much, don't do it. You know, you can adjust where your hands are too so that it feels pretty good to come from up into this back bend here. So take your time. Good. And then we're going to shift on back. And we're going to bring our legs on around in front of us. So come on into sitting with your legs on around in front of you. Stretch your legs out a little bit. Move through. Shake out a little. Good. And then from here, let's let ourselves, well, first cross your right ankle above your left knee. Let yourself flex the foot a little bit and feel that ease when you come forward, just letting the hip release a bit. And then we're going to lift that leg up with our hands, right? Let yourself imagine you're stirring the pot, right? You're circling and letting your arms do all the work, letting that leg just circle. And then reverse and go the other way. Good, and then let yourself just rock back and forth and back and forth. So you're trying to keep a long back. If your hip allows you to hug the leg in closer to you, you can. But you don't want to curve into this rounded back. If that's what happens, just keep your hands on it, right? Instead of trying to pull it in. You're trying to release the hip, in other words, not add tension. Good. And then we're going to bring that leg on down. We're going to switch. Cross that left ankle above the right knee. And again, you can come forward a little bit. Find a bit of a release there. And then when you're ready to lift the leg up, really let your hands, your arms do the work. So you're trying to, if you let go of your leg, it would fall, right? And then circle. See if you can just let your arms do the work of circling the leg. So feeling that release in that hip. And then when you're ready to reverse the circle, let it come the other way. Good. And then that rocking the baby back and forth. Again, you know, you want to come up higher with the leg. That depends on how you're built in your hips. So just let it feel really good and easy. Good. And then let's bring our legs on forward. We're going to bring our soles of the feet towards each other though. And see about letting your hands come behind you in Baddha Konasana. Now you can go flat to your hands or you can be up on fingertips. But let your chest open, draw your shoulders back. Let yourself feel the knees reaching away from the midline. Doesn't matter how low your knees go to the ground. Good. And then come on back up. See if you can take hold of your ankles or maybe your shins and see about balancing in your Baddha Konasana if you can. Now, again, you're trying not to do this. Curl the tailbone forward, rounding into your back. It's like you're leading with your chest. And if you want, you can try to hold your feet. You don't have to. You can keep your feet down in this. Don't worry about the bouncing if you don't want to do it. And if anybody wants to lengthen one leg out a little bit, they can. You can come into a whole straight leg out to the side if you want to, or keep your knee bent, or not do it at all. If you're going to roll backwards, be really careful. The wall behind you. So come to the other side. If you feel that need to roll backward, by all means, let go and catch yourself so you don't bang your head. And then you can come on back in. And now just be playful. Let yourself kind of be like a bear pose. You have both your knees bent. You can come into straighter legs if you want. Let yourself just play a little bit. Good. Now, if any of you want to bring your legs up towards a boat pose, if you have them, maybe you can keep holding on to them and come on up into a boat pose. But don't do that if it doesn't feel good. You can play with your boat by bending your knees too, letting yourself just play here in boat pose. Good. We're going to come down and widen our legs out and stretch out into long legs. Now, you know, your legs might be closer together. This has to do with how you're built in your hips. And then from here, come a little bit forward so you feel your inner thighs. And it may not take much. You know, if you liked that block, like we did at the beginning, having a block in front of you, I'm going to do it because I want to do it, but you can let yourself come forward and put like your forearms on the block or stack blocks up and have your hands or your forearms or your head on the blocks, right? And if you're like, I'm lucky to be sitting up in this, then you can have your hands behind you. Just give yourself a little support. And just enjoy finding what you can in your inner thighs. Yeah, good, coming forward from the low back. So, you know, you may decide you want to put your blocks up higher and bring your head down. You can do it really high, you know. If you feel like you want to let your neck relax in a way that's different. So playing with support is one of the most fun things in yoga. Take your time and be mindful. Feel the heels on the ground drawing back towards you a little bit. Good. One more breath here. And now slowly walk your way up. And from here, bring your feet to the outside edges of your mat. Bring your hands behind you and let your knees just come over to the left. See if you can just ease your hips a little, that right hip a little more forward. And then switch and come to the other side. So you think about just encouraging that left hip a little more forward. So just side to side, your own timing. Just let it feel good. Good. And finish off the one you're on. Come on back, and we're going to come on down to our backs on the floor. So be mindful. Let yourself come down however you want. So be easy. Bring your knees into your chest once you get there. Let yourself release, knees in towards the chest. Good. And then let the feet come on back down to the floor. Now you may prefer to grab a block and do supported bridge. Or you may prefer to bring your arms down alongside you, whether your arms are straight or bent, and rise up into your bridge pose. And, play a little bit. So if you get up there and things just don't feel quite even, or you feel just a little bit like your feet aren't quite in the right place, come down and readjust. If you want to use a block, or if you want to use 2 blocks, you can get supported up as high as you want to be or as low as you want to be. And stay in support and let your back release. And I know some of you, coming up on blocks, being supported on the block, like to play a little bit, and you can always lift a leg or both legs up in the air if you're on the block, and let yourself release that way if it feels good. I mean, if you want to play a little bit with some leg lifts when you're up on a block too, that can really be fun way to engage the abs and the belly and the low back. So just play a little bit. Maybe that means you want to just stay in your bridge pose. Maybe you want to lift up and down out of bridge pose. But some of you might want to come down and do a full upward facing bow pose. So if anybody wants to do a back bend as such, where you're up all the way with your hands up above your shoulders, go for it. So take your time. When you're ready to come down from bridge, be really mindful, especially if you're up on that block and you're coming down to the floor. Let your knees then come in towards your chest. And see if you can. Let the knees stay in, but stretch your arms out beside you onto the floor. Let your palms face up. And let yourself be in that T position there. And now, as you exhale, bring your knees to the left. Now, some of you might want to barely go to the left. Some of you might want to release the legs all the way down towards the floor. That's up to you. See if you can stay for a breath. And then come back into center. And, of course, we'll go to the other side. So, exhaling your way over to the other side. Again, maybe you just want to barely go to the top of that right hip and stay with the knees up. Or maybe you want to let yourself go all the way to rest the outside of your right leg there onto the floor. And then coming on back into center. Now you can do more of these double knee twists, or maybe your body is insisting you do something else, right? If you decide another twist sounds like a good idea, another movement or another pose, kind of let your body take over here. We all feel differently after doing the same series of poses. Everybody comes out at the end of it feeling a little bit different. So just pay attention to how you feel. I'm going to start to get lights, and then I'll be around, and I'd be happy here at the studio to bring you anything that sounds good to you to use for support. So remember, we have big regular size bolsters and little bolsters. If anybody wants to lie back on a bolster of any size or a tri-folded blanket, if you want to feel a little bit of openness in your chest here, let me know. I can bring you whatever you might need. just wave at me if the idea of a little support sounds good. Remember, if you feel like you're lifting your chin up and you're lying on your back, you might want to add a little bit of a blanket underneath your head. And just release now. Feel the ground supporting you. Feel that sense of the firmness of the floor really allowing you to relax more fully. There's that contrast. As the body starts to release and you're watching your breath coming in those waves in and out. You'll start to find those little quiet spaces. Keep refocusing back to your breath over and over and over. Give yourself the gift of these few minutes. And let yourself completely and fully relax. side. You might want to bring your knees into your chest. Just really be at ease without me backing and physically moving. And no, you're welcome to roll onto your right or your left side. If that's good for you, you can come into a soft heel position on your side. Of course, when you feel heavy rise up, just float your way out to sitting how is comfortable. Let your eyes stay closed if you can, adjust however you need to sit so you're comfortable in your hips. Let your hands come to a place where your shoulders will nice and relaxed and open. Okay? Maybe turn your palms up, that feels better. Just being easy as you lengthen up through the crown of your head. Watch your breath again, in and out through your nose. And on your next exhale, let your hands come gently to meet in front of your heart there. And wishing each one of you